Hello and welcome to Creating Canon with your hosts AJ Hamilton and Neighborhood Crime Patrol.
That was actually really good.
Thank you.
But you screwed up.
What? Oh no, what did I do?
Because don't you say Cannon Blast? Creating Cannon Blast?
Oh, you're right. This is a Cannon Blast. Do you want me to do it over again? Should I do it?
Or do you just want to do this?
I think we'll do this. This
Okay.
is perfect. Hey, everybody. We're here with another Cannon Blast.
Our fourth Cannon Blast.
Indeed. No, AJ, not indeed. It's like the 8th one. And this is a Cannon Blast from the past.
I'm going to stab you in your nutsack with a pen.
I think it's appropriate, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're not doing the Brendan Fraser, Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Movie that also stars Christopher Walken.
As the dad.
Yeah.
I always forget about that,
Yeah.
because he's in, like, the first third of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Heartwarming.
Oof.
We
Yikes.
won't do it on this podcast.
No,
but...
we won't.
No.
Well, AJ's right. We're doing an old movie on Cannon Blast for the first time ever, which, as we move forward with our podcast and as we move forward with this whole thing, you know, things are fluid and they change. And
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah. Oh, you know, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
you know what he
right.
likes?
What does he like?
Them Gibson bones.
He doesn't like those Gibson
Yes, he
buns.
does.
He does not.
Yes, he does. So, the other day, AJ and I went and saw Delta Force at the New Beverly.
That's right.
So,
Call out to the New Beverly again.
yeah.
They're awesome.
I love that place.
Heck yeah.
And part of what New Beverly is doing is they're doing a big Robert Forster tribute. Sadly, Robert Forster passed away.
That's right.
Great actor and a friend of Quentin Tarantino. They worked on Jackie Brown together. And a friend to the New Beverly Theater, as we found out. And everything that New Beverly does is a double feature.
Or a triple feature.
Or a
sometimes.
triple feature. Well, nearly everything they do.
Yeah, yeah.
They showed a film called Vigilante along with
The
Delta Force.
Yes.
We, of course, went to see the Delta Force because, obviously,
That is a canon
it's
movie.
a canon movie. But we loved Vigilante so much that we thought it was one of those movies that you've probably never heard of that you should definitely hear of.
Absolutely. And it was interesting because the director of it,
William Lustig, was actually there to speak about it and about Robert. Yeah.
And it was really interesting. He was actually sitting behind us right before he got up to speak. And it was just a
Coincidence?
a little surprise when he got up, and I was like, "Oh my God, he's been there the entire time!" Oh, thank goodness we didn't say anything bad,
Terrible or anything. William Lustig did the Maniac Cop series 1, 2, and 3. He also did Maniac.
Yep.
And Uncle Sam.
Right.
So
yeah.
just a little bit about him, a little backstory.
Oh, and a little factoid about his last name. Lustig in German means funny.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So there you go.
Yeah. It's another nice part of the New Beverly is a lot of the creators of the films they show live locally.
Yeah.
And probably at least once a month or twice a month, they'll have cast members or directors or writers or whatever show up and talk about the movie. Sometimes it's just a complete surprise, which is also really exciting when that happens, too.
That's very cool.
We did have a little bit of a forewarning that the director would be there. But yeah, so let's just hop into Vigilante.
Yeah, sure.
Or do you want to tell us?
Well, Bill was just a fascinating guy. He
So affable and lovely.
was really neat.
Great stories.
Great stories that some of these directors can go on a bit. And sometimes it's fantastic to hear all their stories, but sometimes it feels as if there's extraneous details and stuff like this. And he kept it to a very tight 5 to 7 minutes about the history of the movie, about his relationship with Robert, about the experiences that they had had together over the years. I guess they had known each other for about 40 years.
They met, apparently, actually, what he was saying is there was another actor cast. So
that's right.
We should say that. So just, I think in order to contextualize some of this, we should talk just a little bit about the plot of Vigilante.
Sure.
Long story short, Robert Forster plays a character in New York whose wife is attacked and nearly murdered, and whose son is murdered, young son, maybe 4?
Oh my God, yeah, 4 or 5 years old.
And murdered by a gang.
Yep.
of thugs, we'll say.
Yeah.
That's the word they use in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's, it's one of those, like, cartoonish 80s gangs in some ways.
It is. But you know what's funny is I looked up pictures. We've talked about this when we have talked about the Death Wish movies, and we'll get to that, obviously, because this is a bit of an echo, or as Bill Lustig said, a boomerang movie of those movies in the 70s. But
well, he was also talking about spaghetti westerns.
That's true,
but
but
he wanted to make sort of a spaghetti western and a
but he was saying that the 70s movies of the revenge fantasy had gone over to Italy and then come back.
I see.
And they had basically aped off of themselves by multiple iterations, multiple separations. But what I was going to say is that I was just curious about all of those movies that we've sort of made fun of what the gangs look like. And I actually looked up a couple pictures of real 80s gangs.
Are you going to tell me they look like that?
Kinda.
Oh,
I mean, they're not as cartoonish. They're not as extreme, but they do have the Levi jackets and with the painting on the backs and the different stuff like that. I don't know. It didn't look as outlandish as we had first thought.
The one thing I will say about this movie is compared to, and you will get there when we get to like Death Wish 2 and Death Wish 3 and so on and so forth. I thought just to contextualize, Death Wish 2 and Vigilante were both 1982.
That's right.
And I would say that the gang in Death Wish 2, and especially in Death Wish 3, are super cartoony.
Oh, they're insane.
Whereas in Vigilante, they still err on the side of realistic.
Yes. They all have basically an outfit, like a uniform almost for their gang.
Yeah. So this doesn't feel like it hops that boundary into something crazier.
No.
It still feels very much...
very realistic, based in...
fact.
Yeah.
Somewhat. But anyways, Robert Forster's family is murdered.
Well,
child is murdered and wife is left for dead.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the citizens in the neighborhood he lives in, led by Fred Williamson, who was in...
The Hammer.
The Hammer. He was also in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And funny enough, he was in the Snoop Dogg video that I mentioned back in our My Name is Dolomite episode.
Oh, that's interesting.
He was one of the blaxploitation actors.
Yes, because he was he was Boss N-word in Boss N-word, which at the time they used the full word.
Yes, of course. And he also directed it.
Okay, yes. Which makes sense that he would be in the...
that show.
There we go.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it all comes together.
Dancing around it. Also, did you know he was part of the Steelers? The Pittsburgh Steelers? He was a football player.
That I did not know. Does not surprise me, though.
No, he's an active dude. And I want to get back to the activeness of the fight scenes and the
yes. So, anyways, we are jumping all around today.
Yeah.
There's a vigilante group going after all the thugs in the neighborhood. Robert Forster, long story short, ends up in prison because when the guy who harmed his wife only gets a 2-year suspended sentence, Robert Forster's character goes fucking crazy, attacks the judge, and then he gets sent to jail for an indeterminate...
30... I think
it was like 30 days or something?
I think the judge yells 30 days.
Okay, so he gets sent to prison for 30 days for contempt.
Right.
And when he gets out of prison, he joins the vigilantes to fucking go against everybody who has wronged him.
Yeah.
And in the Death Wish style, it just follows that story. Yeah. It felt like it was somewhere in between, and you said this last night, Death Wish's seriousness and Death Wish 2 and 3's outlandish craziness.
Yes, absolutely. And also, it was interesting because it wasn't just one man's... It's an odd title, and in fact, they re-released it called Street Gangs.
Oh, interesting.
Interestingly. And the fascinating part of it is that Death Wish doesn't denote how many people there are, but with single person, there is one Death Wish.
Right.
But in this...
Instead of Death Wishes?
Exactly, or Desh Wishes.
Desh Wishes?
But in this, I think it's odd and almost a misnomer to label it as Vigilante. I think if they had labeled it Vigilantes, absolutely. Because this is almost a two-hander, which in movie speak means almost like a buddy cop film.
Yeah, we're
or,
following
or
two
leads.
narratives.
Yeah, because I think as much as we follow Robert Forster's Eddie, we also follow Fred Williamson's Nick.
Great name.
Indeed.
Yep.
Which I did not say to the audience, which is Nicholas C. Pepper.
Oh, shit, that's right. We forgot.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Okay.
That's our other co-host that's been talking this entire time.
Oh, my God. How would you have known?
But it's very interesting because it is following independently of Eddie's story, Nick's story as well. And so I just thought that was a very cool departure from the Death Wish style, in that they have this established group that draws him in, and then he also has his own individual pursuits.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it actually helps push the story forward in a really great way.
Yeah.
Because there is that whole section where Robert Forster is in jail, and Robert Forster is more of like a follower-ish kind of character.
Yeah.
When it comes to the whole vigilante thing. When he first hears about it, it's before his wife and child are harmed.
Right.
And he's sort of like, meh. But afterwards, he's like, actually, there's so many. And speaking of, not only do we have Robert Forster and Fred Williamson, we also have Joe Spinell, we have Woody Strode, and we also have the Canon connection, Steve James.
Yeah.
Who plays the patrolman.
That's right.
Steve James also in, of course,
Delta Force and American Ninja. That's right.
So we actually accidentally had a little bit of a mini Steve James retrospective ourselves over these last 6 or 7 episodes.
So funny.
Yeah. Small world when it comes to those kinds of things, right?
Indeed. Yeah, Steve James is solid in everything you see him in.
Yeah.
And also,
Woody, it was so cool to see Woody Strode in this movie, because I remember Woody Strode from Sergeant Rutledge, which is I mean, amongst many other things, including Spartacus, but Sergeant Rutledge is a lesser-known John Ford film that, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely look it up and watch it. Nice. It is pretty insane and amazing. It's sort of like To Kill a Mockingbird, the trial part of To Kill a Mockingbird, where there's a black man on trial for a crime that he most likely didn't commit, but set in Civil War era.
Oh, wow.
West.
Ooh, dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
I'm on it. I as well as you should be.
Yes.
Listener.
To
make these lists that we're suggesting to you. Also, Joe Spinell was in Maniac.
He was also in Hollywood Harry, which is a Cannon-produced film written and directed by Robert Forster.
Oh, my God.
That we will obviously eventually do right here.
Man.
On this very, very podcast.
All ties back together.
But this movie was just so fucking badass.
It's great.
Shocking, surprising. The car chase at the end was so good.
So good and so real.
So real.
So based in real physics and everything. Yeah.
I found certain things about it shocking, like when, I mean, we kind of gave it away, but the way the kid dies,
dude, it is brutal. This whole movie is brutal as hell.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
But especially with the way the 5-year-old child dies.
Oh yeah.
When it happened, I was like, no fucking way did they just do that.
Yeah.
I was shocked. There's this incredible music cue that happens when Robert Forster's character gets out of prison. I don't want to go too much into detail, but if that didn't make the crowd at the New Beverly be like, woo, yeah, but much, much louder. I didn't want to blast your ears out. I don't know what would have. I mean, seriously, it was crazy.
It's such a ramp up of excitement and tension in the movie.
And I thought William Lustig did Lustig or Lustig?
I think he pronounced it Lustig.
Lustig?
But Lustig is how you would say it
in German.
Yeah.
Lustig.
I think William Lustig did an incredible job in this movie, both creating tension, creating action. I said both, but it's more than that. Creating tension, creating action, creating interesting characters, beautiful shots, nice camera work, keeping you wrapped in attention, juggling 4 storylines at once. I thought it was great.
And dropping in, like, interesting things that pay off later on in the movie.
Yeah.
Like the news report about the corrupt
Yes.
official that eventually, spoilers, but it leads them back to him being a crime kingpin. And it's, you know, there's a lot of cool development, a lot of cool action, like you say. The action in this, we were discussing this when we watched it, and in this day and age, everybody seems to know parkour.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Everybody is almost superhumanly active type of person. And in this, so much of the action is based within reality and what the average human could probably be capable of in the situations. Like when Fred Williamson is chasing down a drug dealer of his neighborhood, there are some parts where, you know, we are conditioned to expect this fast-paced thing, and yet people get tired.
Yeah.
People have difficulty climbing fences. People sometimes have to take breaks or have to come up to obstacles that they can't easily face, and they show the reality of all of that.
Yeah, you know, characters are breathing heavy. Characters are having to...
hurting their legs when they land, jumping from one rooftop to another. You know, of course it would be.
And it's clunky, but it's also shot really well, and it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't... This is one of those movies where, again, this is why I love a theater like the New Beverly.
Yeah.
I would have never seen this if it wasn't for the fact that they were showing it.
And you bought the Blu-ray immediately.
Yes, actually, on the way home, I bought the Blu-ray. So that is available.
Yes.
Also, it's on Amazon Prime as we speak. It's on Vudu for free as we speak. It's on Epix.
Oh, awesome.
As we speak, all for free, streaming. So... You know, there are ways to get it. I do want to mention really quickly that the movie was written by Richard Vittere. We may have pronounced that wrong, but we're going to go with it. And he's written a couple of things along the way.
Really?
But the two first credits that he has are a movie called The Violation of Claudia and another movie called Hot Honey, which are both erotic films directed by... William Lustig as Billy Bagg.
Well, and Richard Vittere was as Travis Webb.
Yeah, so Bagg and Webb, early films.
What a team up.
Yep. So I just thought that was an interesting factoid.
Interesting.
So we hopped off of it, but
no,
William Lustig was talking about his relationship with Robert Forster.
Yeah, I mean,
they met on the set of, like, they basically met on the set of this film.
Yes, exactly. And they apparently maintained a relationship over these last 40 years. They would go out to lunch about once a month, and it was devastating to him, the last few months of Robert Forster's life. He actually said one of the last wishes that Robert had was to see the movie El Camino, which he has...
The Breaking Bad movie.
The Breaking Bad movie, which he has a part in, that he reprises from the series. And he actually made it. He actually saw the movie and died the day it was released.
Day. He watched... William Lustig said he watched the movie in the afternoon and died that night.
Yeah.
Also, William Lustig said that he and a bunch of guys from this movie, other actors, visited Robert Forster and spent the afternoon with him the day before he passed away.
Yeah.
And all accounts, Robert Forster was just a kind, wonderful human.
Guy. Yeah. Actually, he's a very intelligent guy as well. He was a member of the high IQ 999 Society.
Oh.
Apparently. Yeah.
I'm a part of them.
I don't think that's true.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. You're smart. You're a smart man. But no, he, like you say, he was a very nice man. He was apparently very accommodating as well. On this set, they were on their last pennies.
They were almost run out of money.
They were scraping by. They didn't have any money in their pockets.
Yeah.
They actually asked him to go change in a gas station bathroom when they were doing reshoots for the car chase scene.
And rather than
call SAG and say, no, I'm not going to do this. Shut this production down.
Apparently Robert Forster just laughed.
Yep. And
went to the bathroom and changed and came back and shot his scenes.
And they had a couple of instances of not having a lot of money because when they were shooting those reshoots of the car chase scenes, they did not have permits either.
Which, when you
police.
watch those scenes,
my God.
it is I cannot believe
they're going down the streets of New York, these tiny, like, meant for a Model A streets.
Yeah.
You know, one-way streets, and they're just zooming down it, and he said something about...
The director of photography was like, what happens if little Timmy steps out with an ice cream cone while we're filming this?
And he's like, well, I guess little Timmy isn't gonna be eating ice cream anymore.
Which...
Oh.
Considering, although when you hear that story and you pair it with like how the child dies at the early part of the movie, you're like, oh, you know what? I see where that came from.
I see your sense of humor.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just it's a great film, and I really hope you spend the time to see it. It's so worth watching, in my opinion.
Indeed, it is.
And it's also really worth revisiting the career of Robert Forster, who
very much so.
is a great actor. And on our Delta Force episode, we'll talk a little bit more about specifically him as an actor.
He actually, funny enough, he was going to be in the original Twin Peaks as the sheriff, and however many years, 40-ish years, 30-something years later, David Lynch could not get the original sheriff, so Robert Forster plays his brother.
Nice.
Who takes over for him in the town.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so watch Twin Peaks: The Return.
Twin Peaks: The Return. Well, he's also in Mulholland Drive.
Yes, that's right.
So, you know.
Good friends there.
Good friends. Yeah, I think maybe we just leave it at that. We just really, go see Vigilante. Or not go see, sit at home and watch Vigilante. I don't think you'll be disappointed, especially if you especially if you're listening to this podcast.
Yes.
This is exactly the kind of movie you probably would love.
Absolutely. I think I have the same reservations as we did in the Death Wish movies about vigilantism and about taking the law into your own hands. But when it is strictly in the confines of a movie, a revenge fantasy is a incredibly exhilarating, a genre,
Well, you know what's weird about this one that is almost different than the Death Wish movies is I felt like this one was a little bit muted in some ways, where I don't think the vigilantism was quite as celebrated as it was in Death Wish, or I have become immune to it.
It's possible.
One of the two.
It's entirely possible.
But yeah, so I guess this is kind of like a sister episode to our Delta Force episode.
Yeah, indeed.
So definitely make sure to check that out.
Yes, indeed. That's coming up.
All right.
Nick, where can we follow you?
You can follow me, Nicholas C. Pappas, on the Twitter at nicholascpappas.com.
Nice. I am at the AJ Hamilton on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and all the other things. And you can follow us at Creating Canon all over the internets, and we are creatingcanon@gmail.com if you have any questions, concerns, comments. And as we always say,
good night and good cannon blast. God damn it. Did you just get the whole bow, 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 bow?
Yeah.
Recorded?
Yeah, of course. Are you playing the tiniest violin?
Yeah.
With an infinity gauntlet?
Yes, I am. I'm number one. I'm number one.
It's times like these I do wish we had video.
I can't hear me.
Too bad.
I can only hear you.
Well, good.
At times like this, I'm glad we don't have video. Does it really blow out your ears when I do something loud? Like, wow! Yeah! Let me try it again without blasting it.